Every Friday for this amazing learning for all approximately 1.5 hours, 1.5, 1.1 hour, 15 minutes. My name is one of the specialists at Touch. Before we start, let me give you a quick overview about our institution. ProTouch is a certification institute which provides upskilling courses to the professionals like HR generalists, HR analytics, advanced certification program, POSH trainer to deliver POSH trainings, business analytics manager certification, corporate trainer and facilitator trainer certification, certified practitioner coach certification, emotional intelligence and coach certification, as well as organizational development and change management certification. We also provide customized programs. Therefore, all the programs are accredited by topmost bodies like ICF, SHRM, HRCI, CPT, and IBEC. I'm so glad to see many existing students, team members, and aspiring students of ProTouch who have joined this learning session. Now let's begin our learning session with Indeep, Timsi, Jagan Mohan, and Prashant, our guest speakers of today's morning. I would like to take a moment to introduce everyone with our today's guest speakers. Indeep, who is a two-time national awardee winner simply because of his passion and dedication to drive within the realm of human resource management. Management and manufacturing operations. Energetic, ambitious, and result-driven are what best describe Indeep. He has in-depth experience in managing strategic business leadership roles across several businesses. He has more than 34 years of experience in pharma, sugar, alcohol, power, beverages, and apparel industries. He has published more than 50 research papers in international national journals and has been twice awarded the prestigious Noel Gold Medal by the Sugar Technologies Association of India for pioneering work done in the field of improving manufacturing efficiency and reducing costs. Timsi holds the position of a Chief People Officer at Swiss Beauty Cosmetics. Prior to this role, she served as the Group Chief HR Officer at the ITAM House of Brands, where she managed multiple brands, including Springwell, Guardian Pharmacy, Bella Vita Organic, Bevzilla. Also, she held the position of Associate VP at the Momsco, a part of Good Glam Group. Her extensive corporate experience also includes role of People Strong and Encore Capital Group. Timsi has been actively involved with the Symbiosis Center for Management Studies as a visiting faculty member and holds the certification as an NLP practitioner. Jagmohan Reddy Julakanti is a mechanical engineer and a businessman. He is a graduate from Faculty Development Institute, LCI, Chicago, and also a certified corporate trainer. He is the chairman of Macrise Metrology and Solutions. He is also the CEO of Mahakavi Skills Academy of Hyderabad. Last but not the least, Prashant is a result-driven HR leader with over 35 years of experience in leadership positions across diverse industries, proven track record of spearheading organizational growth through talent development and transformative HR strategies. He is now seeking opportunities as a corporate trainer and a coach to leverage his wealth of experience in fostering industrial and individual plus organizational excellence. It's an honor to have Indeep, Timsi, Jagan Mohan, and Prasant with us today morning. Over to you, Timsi.
Thank you, Preeti. Thank you for the elaborative introduction. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. Today's topic is pretty interesting. We will see how can we build tiny habits and how can these tiny habits help us to transform our lives. Right, so I would like to start with a personal story. So last year I was facing health issues and I was struggling with backaches and shoulder discomfort. It was making it very challenging for me to sit for long hours and focus on my work. So I I decided to prioritize my health and I decided to create a work regime for myself, exercise regime for myself. However, as you can relate, it wasn't easy. Building habits have not been easy. We all understand that, right? My alarm would go off 6 a.m. every morning. I would keep snoozing it till 8 a.m. Then I would wake up, in a rush, feeling guilty. I would get ready, go to office, and this pattern continued for days and months. Now, the big question in front of me was to how do I build this habit? That's when I started reading a lot of articles and I came across this fantastic book called Atomic Habits, written by James Clear. In his book, James has spoken about habit formation and he's given a lot of strategies as to how can we build tiny habits which can lead to transforming events for us. So let's understand how habits are formed. How are they formed? Any idea? Do you want to write in the chat box? Okay, in the interest of
We
time.
need to practice on a daily basis.
Yes, absolutely. When you say I practiced on a daily basis, of course, consistency, I see, repetition, right? So it is a process by which when you repeat a behavior continuously till the time it becomes automatic. So what I'm saying is that habits are automatic behaviors, right? Let's take morning routine as an example. When we wake up, it leads to a series of activities automatically. We wake up, we go to the washroom, we brush our teeth, we get ready, we make a cup of coffee, etc., etc. Of course, we all have our own routines to follow. And it is very automatic to us. So, the key to building a habit is the repetition or the consistency. Right now, this has become our habit because we have been doing it for years. So repetition is the key here. Now let's look at the 1% rule that James has mentioned in his book, and it has become very popular and it is a very powerful thing to concept to understand. Now, the 1% rule says that if we get 1% better every day for the next 1 year, which is 365 days, it is equal to 37.78%, which means we'll end up becoming 37 times better than we by the time we are done. Right? Inversely, if you're not doing anything, we will become 1% worse every single day for next 1 year, which is as good as zero. We are becoming worse, right? Now, what I'm trying to say is that habits are the compound interest of your self improvement, right? Now, it's important to understand that habits can compound for you and habits can go against you also. So if habits are positive, if you're building on it, if you're becoming better every day, it may end up increasing the productivity if you're focusing on the work. It may end up you losing weight if you're focusing on the weight loss. If you're on a weight loss journey, it will help you improve your relationship if you're working on your relationship. And at the same time, habits can become worse for you if the habits are negative. For example, negative habits may lead to negative thoughts, it may lead to stress, it may lead to outrage, and it may lead to health issues in the longer run. So remember that 1% better each day, focus on the progress, right? So that's the concept of or the power of tiny habits, creating tiny habits. When you create them, you are becoming better every single day, which you don't realize. Now, coming to the plateau of latent potential, let's understand that when we start a new habit, it feels that initially for a couple of months or days, it feels that we are reaching nowhere because we expect to see the linear progress. But remember, progress is never linear. When we do not see the linear progress, what happens is we get into the value of disappointment. We get disappointed. When you start to exercise, you don't see the impact in first 2, 3 months, and you keep getting disappointed. You want to change your goal, right? But after 2, 3 months, you start to see the impact. And when that impact happens, That point is where the magic happens, and that is called the plateau of latent potential. That's when you start to see the actual impact. What we don't realize is that 1% tiny changes are happening every single day, but we only get to see till we reach the plateau of latent potential, right? So if any of you is struggling to build a habit, it is not because uh, you do not have the potential to do it or you don't want to do it. It is only because you have not reached the plateau of latent potential. So being patient is a good help and wait for the magic to. Great. Now habits are automatic behaviors. Yeah. Um, Whenever we are building any habit, we need to work on our behaviors, right? We need to change our behaviors because habits and are built through the repetition of behaviors. Now, behaviors, we need to also work on the layers of behaviors. Now, the layers of behaviors, we have three layers of behaviors where the changes happens. First is the outcome, second is the processes, and third is the identity. Now, what are outcomes? Outcomes are the goals, something that you want to achieve. For example, losing weight. Processes is a system that we build to achieve the goal, right? And identity is the deepest layer, which is who you are and what you believe in. Now let's look at outcomes, which is also called results, and processes together. Now, when we are building a new habit, what we do first thing is we establish a goal, right? Losing weight is my goal. And when we don't see any progress, we feel that there's a need to change the goal, right? Suppose I want to lose 8 kgs, right? I'm practicing, nothing is happening. And I would, think that maybe 8 kgs is not doable. Let me just do 2 kgs at the moment, right? Now, what we are working on is the results. We realize or we feel that goals is the problem and we try to change it. But you need to remember is that goals is not a problem. The problem is with the process that we are following to reach our goals, right? So when you solve the problem at the result level, which is your outcome, we are only solving the problem temporarily. Instead of losing 8, I will only lose 2 because I've changed my goal and I'm trying to solve the problem at the goal level. But if you want to improve for good, if I really want to lose 8 kgs, I really need to work on the system or the process through which I'm trying to lose weight. Maybe I'm eating a lot of sweets. Maybe I'm not exercising regularly, right? So that is the process through which I'm trying to lose the weight. So I need to fix my processes. I need to fix the system. So once you fix the inputs, the output will automatically fix for themselves. Right? Any questions here? Are we good? Are you with me? Okay, great. Moving on. What is identity? Identity is who you believe you are. What is it that you believe in? It is your preset belief, right? It is your behavior. It is your habit. So it is your core identity. This is your personality. Now, true changes or true behavior change, it happens at the identity level. See, you might start a habit because of motivation, but the only reason you will stick to it is because it becomes a part of your identity. Unless you change the core being of who you are, you'll not be able to bring changes in your self, right? All the behaviors that we have acquired over years, they are not preset, they are learned or conditioned. Going back to your morning routine, you have learned that behavior over a period of time. And the more you repeat your behavior, the more you reinforce the identity associated with that behavior, right? So, in the nutshell, what I'm trying to say is that identity is the core of who you are. Unless you bring a change in your belief, in your core, you will not be able to see changes in your behavior. Great. Do we understand this? Are you with me? I'm not hearing anything, so I'm assuming that everything is good and you're understanding what I'm saying.
Yes,
Yes,
very
Timsi.
nice.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Let's look at the process of building a habit now. And it's called habit building. It is divided into 4 simple steps, which is cue, craving, response, and reward. Triggers the brain to initiate a behavior. When you play quiz, you get those simple cues. So what does the cue do? It triggers you to initiate a behavior or go to the next step, right? So cue triggers the brain to initiate a behavior. Suppose I want to, I want to start exercising. So my cue, the cue that I have for myself is that I lay down my yoga mat in front of, my bed so that as soon as I wake up, I see the mat and that becomes my cue. So we will discuss each step in detail. Now, craving is the motivational force behind every habit, right? Response is the actual habit which leads to action. You're responding to the craving, and reward is the end goal of every habit. Let's look at it, with the help of an example. Now your phone buzzes with a text message. That's your cue. Phone buzzing is a cue, which means the craving is that you want to read the message. You want to learn the content of the message. What you do in response, you grab the phone and you read the text. The reward that you get is that it satisfies your craving to read the message. So grabbing your phone becomes associated with your phone buzzing. It becomes a loop, it is also called a feedback loop, right? Which is why it is called habit loop. Now, if the behavior is insufficient in any of the 4 stages, it will never become a habit. If I don't pick up the phone, even if it is buzzing, I will never get into that loop. I will never have the craving to learn the content. I will not be able to read the message, right? If my Facebook message pops up and if I don't look at it, it is not becoming a habit. But every time if my phone pops up with the message, I look at it, it's a habit, right? We all have that habit. As soon as our phone buzzes, we pick it up and we want to learn the content. So if you eliminate the cue itself, your habit will never start, right? If you reduce the craving, if there is no craving, we will not have the motivation to act, right? Now you make the behavior difficult, you will not be able to do it. And if the reward fails to satisfy our desire, then we will have no reason to do it again. So cue becomes very important. All these steps are important, but it starts from cue. So my co-panelist will discuss, every step in detail. I would like to discuss about cue. Let's understand what is cue. Like we said, cue triggers our brain to initiate a behavior. It is a information that predicts a reward. So our mind is continuously analyzing our internal and external environment to find cues where rewards can be are located. Right now, in order to bring the behavior change, we need to make our cues obvious. And in case we are trying to break a habit, it is important that we make our cues invisible. Right? This is the law of behavior change. You have to make you obvious. For example, when I started my yoga practice, I make sure that I sleep in my yoga pants. I have my yoga mat laid down a day before. And as soon as I wake up, I look at it. It's a cue for me to start exercising. In fact, it has become, such a dire habit that whenever I look at it, I want to exercise, and I do it, a couple of times during the day whenever I see it. So you have to make your cue obvious. Now, there are a lot of cues that we can use. It can be associated with time. It can be associated with location. It can be associated with your environment also, right? When you go out with your friends, and if you normally don't drink with your friends in the social setting, you end up drinking. So it is because of the environment. Um, I would like to, tell you two practical and very easy strategies today through which you can build your cues while you're building your habits. So the first one is implementation intention. Now, as the word suggests, intention to implement, intention to act. Implementation is an act, right? So implementation intention is something when you plan beforehand where and when you will perform the habit. It is associated with the behavior, time, and location. And the format of creating implementation intention is very simple. When situation X arises, when I see my yoga mat, I will perform response Y. I will start exercising. Right now, the simple way to apply this strategy is to fill this sentence, which is I will, you add your behavior, at what time, in what location. For example, I will exercise at 7 a.m. in my living room. Now, when I associate it with the time and the location, it becomes it urges me to do the right thing at the right time. It becomes a habit without even knowing why am I doing it. Like I said, doing yoga has become a habit for me because whenever I see the mat, it's a cue for me to start exercising. I just do 2, 3 exercises, I go back to work. When I come back, I see it again. So I don't know why am I doing it, but I just do it out of fun now and it has become a habit. So you associate your behavior with time and location so that it becomes permanent. When you do that, it also sweeps away any foggy notions that you have. For example, I take a goal that, I want to exercise daily. Rather than saying I will exercise at 7. Sorry, just go back. When I associate it with the time and the location, I'm making a concrete plan of action for myself. And that's one of the cues for me to start exercising. Now, let's go to the second strategy. That's called habit stacking. As the name suggests, you stack habits with each other. It is again a special form of implementation intention only. However, instead of pairing a new habit with location and time, you associate it with the current habit. So what you do is you identify the current habit that you already have, and then you stack the new habit that you want to introduce with that. For example, when I wake up in the morning, I go to the washroom and I start to exercise. Now, if I want to add a new habit, I will stack in between saying, I go to the washroom, I come back, I meditate for 10 minutes before I exercise, right? So similarly, you can stack as many habits as you want. What happens is that because you're already doing something, you're adding something new to it, it becomes easy for you to follow it, right? The key is to that you tie your desired behavior into something you already do every day. Here is an example. After I make my morning coffee, I will meditate for 2 minutes. Like I said, you can add as many habits, you can stack as many habits you wish to. So let me know in the chat box which strategy would you like to use as a cue? Which one do you like the most? Do you want to go with implementation intention or you like habit stacking idea? See, end of the day, building habit is trial and error, method. You can, take your own call and see what works well for you. Habit stacking. I also find it very easy because you're already doing something and you're just stacking new habits with it and it becomes easy to follow it. But it is also important to have cues while you're stacking habit. If I want to meditate, my space should be ready, right? And if I want to do yoga, my mat should be ready. You have to be prepared with your cues. So habit stacking, I see, is the most loved one, and club it with the location and time, and it will help you. So now I would like to invite my co-panelist, Mr. Jagan, to take this forward.
Tracy, I think Umang needs to discuss something.
Sorry?
Umang have raised the hand. I think he has some query.
Oh, I can't see it. Sorry. Oh, okay. Yes, Umang, go on.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you, TMC. Actually, I raised my hand to share an experience which is about habit stacking. I usually use it right now. So, it's a story of basically exercising only. I exercise since I was 16. So when I started working in the corporates, I felt that is I'm lacking somewhere in my exercise routine, because there were some days where I missed it because I had to, travel to that location and I have to work. So what I usually does, I just made a habit that whenever I wake up, because I usually wake up around 4:30 to 5 o'clock. So earlier, what I used to have is I used to have a lot of time once I have completed with my daily routine, the morning routine. Now, what I decided was I started doing what? I will wake up in the morning, and the very first thing that I'll do is my workout. I
Perfect.
just did it perfectly. So before even going to the washroom, I complete my workout and then go there.
Oh, wow.
So it became my habit, and it really helped me to continue that process and just to make it a process. And that is how this has become a habit for me now. And now I don't think there is a very rare chance that I have missed any day where I worked out. So this is something that I've experienced.
Fantastic, and thanks for sharing that. With this, I would also like to share another example, another live example. So, when I also wake up at 5, and the only reason I wake up at 5 is that my cook comes at 5, and I intentionally tell her to come, come over at that time because I want to wake up at that time. And I wake up, I have my cues, right? I have my yoga mat laid down, but I don't, I never used to exercise. I would just go back to sleep. So now what I've started doing, what is my cue? I go to the balcony. I stand there for 5 minutes and I feel fresh, and then I immediately go and start my routine. So that's my cue. So the intent is to build as many cues as you can to help you start building the habit.
Yes, and it's really refreshing because when I complete my workout and I go
Mm.
to when I go outside out of that, so it feels very energizing and it feels really calm, right? Because,
Yes, absolutely.
all of the sweat has come out and now we are getting that wind. So that really makes me feel very important. So that's something which is really
So what I understand, Umang, you're saying that's your motivation to feel important later,
exactly.
right? Great, fantastic. That's a great example, Umang. Thanks for sharing. Thanks for sharing. Um, Anybody else has a question or want to share something? Okay. Okay, great. I would like to invite my co-panelist, Mr. Jagan, to take this forward now. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Tipsy. Good morning to all the 46 enthusiastic participants. I like the way they are chatting in the chat box and really, really nice. It encourages us. So thank you very much. So Simsi has already given you inputs about the cue. And now I'm going to give you inputs about the craving. And when it comes to the craving, what is craving? You all know that it is a powerful desire and a very burning desire. So our brains are preloaded with a certain rules of behavior whenever that exaggerated version of behavior is called supernatural stimuli. I hope everybody understood this. I'm sure that if you are understood, you can say yes. If not, you can say no. N you can say. So we are prone to fall for an exaggerated version of reality for the junk food. Why? Because it drives our brain reward system into a frenzy. The reason for that drivers to frenzy is that our brain rewarded centers not changed over the 50,000 years. That's what the scientist says that. Those days, the people used to hunt and then eat food. They was scared. So that's why they all go frenzy whenever they see food, the food. But even today, day also, it is happening. In some places, majority of the people are doing it. Will you all agree with me? If you agree, you can say A in the chat box. Right. So whenever craving occurs, this is very important point. Everyone has to be very attentive. Whenever ever craving occurs, the scientists say precisely a neurotransmitter called dopamine. This is the very most important one, is the dopamine driven. You can see even the slide also dopamine driven. So what is this dopamine? It is in a harmony, and which is a motivational factor and which is a task oriented. So that process is there in our body. It gives us the pleasure as well as the pain. And important of dopamine because became very apparent in the year 1954 when these two neuroscientists you are seeing on the slide, James Old and Peter Milner, They did an experiment. That experiment revealed the neurological process behind craving and desire. So these are the process that is behind every craving and every design. So what they did is they implanted a electrode in the brains of the rats, which stops the dopamine to flow. When the dopamine is not there, they have lost their willingness to live, their willingness to eat, drink, whatsoever it may be. They're not willing. And what they did is they have put a little bit of drops into their mouth by forcefully. At that particular point of time, they recall back their pleasure. The very next moment, the pleasure is no more with them, is not retained. So this shows that dopamine is when dopamine is stopped and there is no activity for you, there is no enthusiasm for you. So dopamine is released not only when you experience the pleasure. Please understand here, when you experience the pleasure, dopamine will be there, will be released. But at the same time, and the pleasure, but also when you anticipate it, the dopamine will be released. So here I would like to ask every one of you, please close your eyes. Everybody, please close your eyes and follow my instructions. Please close your eyes, everyone. So now you think which is the most craving food for you in your life, whether it can be food, it can be a drink, it can be a snack, whatever, it can be a sweet. Just think of it your own way. Close it and think of it. Right now, that is right now in front of you. How do you feel about it? How do you feel about it? Just open your eyes and then chat in the box. Will you feel excited? Are you happy about it? Please chat it in the box. This experience, you already had this experience. There's a mouth watering and the saliva is flowing into your mouth, because just we have imagined, for every imagination itself, this kind of experience you have. That means there is a spike in the dopamine. This is what exactly happens. So now the dopamine spike, how it happens? Suppose you have gone to a very lavish party. That is a very big, you call a reception is there. So you see a lot of counters there. And one counter, you find it where long queue is there. So you become very curious and then go and stand in the queue. And you see that dish also, but you have not experienced it earlier. So only when you pick up that dish and then take it and then you eat it, then only that bliss point will come into your mouth. So that time only the dopamine will increase, the spike will be there, because you are not experienced earlier. But you like it, and then again go back into the queue and stand there. And when you stand in the queue, again, you anticipate that you're going to eat that food. So by anticipating itself, the dopamine will increase. You can see it in the B graph. So after some time, and when you reach almost close to that, there are no more dishes available to you. So then what happens? You get disappointed. When you get disappointed, your dopamine will come down. You are seeing in the third figure. So after some time, they tell you, please wait, you will get back your food. So you wait for some time. And then again, when you consume it, then again the dopamine will go up. So this is all about the spike of the dopamine. This is what exactly the scientist says about the dopamine. And then now we will talk about the next slide. We go to the next slide, please. Yeah, the same slide. Okay, great. So now you see the guy who is there, who is the Ronan Bryan, an engineer from Ireland. So what I'm going to talk about is the Timsy has already given you the stacking of the this thing. Now I'm going to talk about the habit of bundling, the temptation bundling. So what this guy has done, he likes very much Netflix, but unfortunately he want to keep himself fit, but most of the time goes into watching the Netflix, and he doesn't do exercise. Now and then he does. So that exercise is necessary for him. What he want is watching the Netflix. So in that kind, what he does is he hacks the stationary cycle to a computer. Through computer, he goes to the TV, which runs the Netflix program. So he made such a program in such a way that whenever he maintained that particular speed only, the Netflix he can watch. When he slows down, that doesn't come. The program doesn't come. So he is forced to do that particular speed. At the same time, he do exercise. At the same time, he does the watching the Netflix. So this is how we can always do the bundling of these things. And then another example I want to give you, in America, they have American Broadcasting Company have done a wonderful job. They in 2014-15, they were running a How to Get Away with the Murder, the serial, the thriller serial. They were running it. So they want to increase the viewership. What they said is they started encouraging the people watch this thriller. At the same time, you can prepare your popcorn, you can eat your popcorn, you can have your drink, you can have your favorite drink, and you can be with your close one. So what happened? People started enjoying the thrilling, drinking, eating, and then being with the loved one, enjoy the evening. So that's how everybody was looking forward. This viewership has gone up because that fellow very intelligently he did it, bundling all the views. So that is what is one example is very, very interesting. And now I request every one of you to note down yourself what is the hard hobby, what is the whole hard habit, and then what is the easiest one. So now I request you to find out the easiest one and then the hard one. And then you club it, then I think things will move. And I would like to ask you, every one of you, to please do this exercise. All of you raise your hands like this. All of you raise your hands and then clamp them and then lock them internally. So which finger is on the top? Is it the right thumb is on the top or left thumb is on the top? For most of them, it is maybe the right thumb on the top. So now, again, do it same way. Again, you interlock it once again, and you find the same finger is coming on the top. Agreed? So whatever the finger is coming on the top, you interchange that finger now. Now, you don't bring the right on the top or left on the top. Just interchange it. And then again, do it now. Do it now. You find it little difficult? Yes or no? Because this is the new habit that you are going to form. The earlier one is already, you have an habit, already it has gone into your mind. You have done number of times. So this is the difference between that. When you continuously do this hard hobby also, then you will be able to do that. So this is all about this thing. And then we have very interesting earlier habits. We'll go to the next slide. How do we learn the early habits? Is from the friends, from the family, from the school, from the community, and from the society. I need not explain all these things. Everybody knows. But we have very interestingly, we have a habit groups. Habit groups means imitating the close. So that is parents, your friends, peers, and professionals. A doctor's son will become doctor, engineer's son will become engineer, businessman's son will become, because they're very close to that, they start imitating what their parents are doing. They're imitating the many. When you are traveling together in a group, when you are going and you have joined a club, which has many people are there, you start imitating their lifestyle. So that is what, because many people are doing it, so I also do it. So that's how you imitate things. These imitations get along with the people and eating, dressing, and then all other habits will come. And imitating the powerful is very interesting because you will see the people, very powerful people, how they are powerful and how their prestige status. And then similarly, you would like to join, rub the shoulder with those elite club people, and then you join such elite this thing. So another important aspect is that another important is motives. So behind every craving, there are motives. So if you want to conserve the energy, what you do, you switch off the lights, or so you go to other kind of you want to save the power. So that is the motive behind it. So the motive to survive, for your survival, you obtain food and water. The motive for marriage is find love and response. The motive for Facebook is connect and bond with the people. And motive for the Instagram is win social acceptance and approval. And motive for searching the Google is reduce your uncertainty, achieve status and prestige. So that is again, you join the groups. So finally coming to the conclusion, and habits are dopamine driven, and greater the anticipation, greater the dopamine spike. The greater the dopamine spike, the greater the motivation, and greater the motivation is greater the action. And when you are greater the action, the reward will be greater. So another important thing is that temptation bundling is one way to make habits more attractive. So let's make our habits more attractive for success in our life. And then finally, I would like to quote this: we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence then is not an act, but an habit. So I wish you all the best success for giving this opportunity. If you have any questions, you can ask me at the end of the session. I can answer because we have to accommodate my good friends also. Thank you very much. Over to Prem.
Ashok, would you like to say something? Because I can see you have raised your hand.
Yeah, thanks. Actually, just want to, sorry, I couldn't open on my video because I'm running with some bad network over here. So I think the moment I switch on my video, immediately they get disconnected. So just want to add what Mr. Jagan was saying related to the dopamine spike, which is actually being an influencer or maybe a helpful to get boost the carving part, right? So there is another scientific study there has been, because if it, I'll just take 30 more seconds to just describe that, because I know the people are running shortage of time. So just to add with what Mr. Jagan was saying, as he said, ki dopamine, it's a natural influencer in the body itself. The moment you start or it gets spiked due to certain triggers. So there is a saying and the scientific provement also, study done by the Pennsylvania. They have given and published that article also. If few peoples are by birth or by natural rate, they have got a high level of dopamine itself. The most of the common players, if we see in the industry, like Usain Bolt, if we see, Jeff, Michael Phelps, Sachin Tendulkar, these are the people, they have already proved with the by natural high level of the dopamine itself. And the another level, if somebody wants to get influenced by spike in their carving ratio, so that they can be able to get more into the habit making, good habit making, or good sense of making and going forward. So there also a say ki if you go into a spiritual kind of activity, somebody who is lacking with the lack of the dopamine, they never get a booster or get influenced by just making, they even plan to make a habit, but they never get succeed into that to some extent. So that's how, if you get influenced, because it's a written article, a survey and the experiment done by the university. So if you go into somebody's lacking with the dopamine level, they should go and plan into the some kind of spiritual activity, so that it will automatically helps in boosting your dopamine level. It is the only and only natural way available in the universe so far. It is already scientifically proven, and it is written in the article itself. So that's what I just want to add over there. Thank you. Hope I'm audible.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jagan, for the very good insight.
Right.
But it is something I thought let it also be shared, because Pennsylvania University already conducted and experimented on that. So it is already scientifically proven if somebody who is lacking with the dopamine, because if we see a quote an example of Sachin Tendulkar versus the Vinod Kamli were more talented than Tendulkar. But the way how he represented himself and the way how he got influence and keep boosting internally. Thank you so much. Thanks.
Right. Thank you. Thank you for your inputs. We all enjoyed.
Okay. Thank you, Jagan. Thank you. So, hello, friends. Good morning. Are we
Good
good
morning,
to
Prashant.
proceed further?
Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Prashant.
Are we good to proceed?
Yes.
Okay, before proceeding, let us have a recap of the session so far. Timji has already explained about the tiny habits, how it can make the complete transformation. Our increase of 1% incremental increase on daily basis for 1 year will bring the improvement of 37.7% after a year. That means if I start a good habit and I keep on incrementing it by 1% on daily basis, I'm almost 40% better than what I am today. Similarly, if I start reducing 1% daily basis, after 1 year, it will almost become 0. That means if I start reducing my bad habit by 1%, by end of the year, I am away from that habit altogether. Isn't it powerful? But for that, we have to build a habit. And as already explained, building a habit is a process. As has been explained by Mr. Clear, that it has got 4 stages: cue, craving, response, and reward, which has been explained by, again, Mr. Jagan was also there explaining the craving. Cue is all about locating the reward. And craving is wanting that reward. Is it okay so far? Any question? Great. But I have a question. I will like to know from all of you, what is that habit which you will like to build for yourselves? I will write you to write it in the chat box. What is that habit which you will like to build for yourself? Everyone, please. Great. We have got lot many habit which needs to be built. Great. But friends, tell me that by writing this, once you have written it, there must be something, some goal where you want to reach, must be in your mind, isn't it? And that is the cue. Though it is not visible, but it is here. And when you are writing this, again, there must be some motivation. Why you would like to have it? And that is what the craving is. But tell me, writing that habit which you want to build, will it be leading you to the goal which you want to achieve for yourself? Will it reach to that place? Certainly not. And there comes the response. That is the response. Response is basically the bridge between the craving and the reward. It leads to your crave, to satisfy your craving, you take some action which leads to the reward. So fundamentally, this is the action which you take. But why I'm using the word response? Why not simple word action? Because when we are using the word response, it is not about what action is being taken. It is more about how that action has been taken. It is more focused on the action. What are the processes which has been adopted? What is the system in place? What all input has gone into it? All together, put together, that is the response. Am I clear? Okay, let me give you one example. Recently, Indian team has won the World Cup. First of all, let us clap for Indian team. All of us. Yeah. Brave. Once the winning team returned back to India, they were invited to Prime Minister residence for a cup of tea. Over the chit chat, our Honorable Prime Minister Mr. Modi asked Surya Kumar, आपने मैच में एक बहुत ही स्पेक्टेकुलर कैच लिया जिसने मैच का रुख बदल दिया. आप लोग को भी याद है? एवरीबॉडी रिमेंबर दैट कैच? या आपने वो कैच लिया तो आपको कैसा लगा? एंड द रिप्लाई ऑफ सूर्य कुमार वाज, मैंने जब वो कैच लिया वहां से इंडियन टीम को जीत नजर आने लगी और हमने कोशिश की, हम जीत गए, मुझे बहुत अच्छा लगा. लेकिन जहां तक कैच के स्पेक्टेकुलर होने का सवाल है, दर्शकों को स्पेक्टेकुलर लगा होगा क्योंकि उन्होंने उसको मैदान में उस दिन देखा था. हम लोगों के लिए पिछले कई दिनों से लगातार कम से कम 50 बार उस तरह से कैच लेने की प्रैक्टिस हम कर रहे थे. हमारे लिए वो स्पेक्टेकुलर नहीं था. फ्रेंड्स, जस्ट इमेजिन what all system and process must have gone into it. एक पूरा सेशन सेटअप होता होगा डेली बेसिस पर, पूरे स्टाफ उसमें लगते होंगे, एक थ्रो करता होगा with that accuracy of the height and what not, I even can't imagine. And that is the process and input which has gone in that to get that catch successfully. And that is the response. That is what we are talking here, the response. And that is the importance of response. What we to get into action, what all we are putting it, how we plan, how we implement, that is all system. And once we are that in place, doing it regularly, consistently over a period of time, that behavior that becomes into automated mode altogether, that is habit. That is the point when it gets into the behavioral change. That is the transformation we are talking here. Am I clear so far? लेकिन ये तो बहुत मुश्किल वाली बात हो गई, इतना ज्यादा प्रैक्टिस करना. So how to get into that habit? मिस्टर क्लियर ने अपने किताब में बहुत ही सिंपल वे में, जैसे उन्होंने ऑलरेडी क्यू के बारे में बोला, जो हम गलती करते हैं छोटी छोटी, कि हम टारगेट फिक्स करते हैं. मुझे क्रिकेट में रणजी खेलना है, टेस्ट खेलना है, आईपीएल खेलना है. Whereas he says माइंड में आपको एक अच्छा क्रिकेटर बनना है. If you change this, automatically you will reach to the target. Process पर फोकस करो, not on the goal. Similarly, here also he has got very simple, make it easy. रेसिपी उन्होंने जो दिया है बहुत ही, make it easy. Friends, he is not telling, don't get confused, he is not telling not to pick up difficult habits. He is not telling to pick up only simple habits. All he is explaining is that make your process, make your inputs in such a manner that taking action becomes easy. Once it is easy, it will be repeated, it will be consistent, and automatically the habit will be built. And what is the fundamental behind it? The fundamental is very simple. The human behavior is following the law of least effort. Wherever there is a least effort, we will automatically get gravitated towards that. हम लोगों में से कितने लोग अपने स्मार्ट वॉच को टाइम टू टाइम स्क्रॉल करते रहते हैं? मुझे तो लगता है बहुत लोग. Are they really wanted to pick up this habit? No. वो कहीं से क्यों मिला पहली बार, एंड इतनी सिंपल सी चीज है कि हमें उसमें कुछ एफर्ट ही नहीं लगना है, और वो इसलिए वो हैबिट बन गई, बहुतों की हैबिट बन गई. नाउ इट इज नॉट ओनली कि नोटिफिकेशन आया तभी हम खोल रहे हैं, बोर हो, इट हैज गॉट सो मेनी क्यूज डाउन, बोर हो रहे हैं तो शुरू कर दिया. सो द रेसिपी इज मेक इट इजी, एंड उसके लिए भी उन्होंने कुछ टिप्स दिया है. वो टिप्स है बहुत सिंपल, रिड्यूस द फ्रिक्शन. Whatever, कोई भी आप हैबिट शुरू करना का सोचते हैं, उसमें just think of all those things which can create a kind of friction and try to bring that friction level to the list. हर चीज वो हटाते जाइए जो फ्रिक्शन होता है, जो फ्रिक्शन कर सकता है, जो उसके एफर्ट को लाने में दिक्कत कर सकता है. उसी तरह से अगर किसी निगेटिव हैबिट को हटाना है तो फ्रिक्शन बढ़ाते जाइए, कीप ऑन इंक्रीजिंग द फ्रिक्शन. उसको आप फैसिलिटेट कीजिए अपने एनवायरनमेंट से. एनवायरनमेंट का जितने चीजें हैं उसको आप कंड्यूसिव बनाइए, सो दैट पिकिंग अप दैट हैबिट एंड गोइंग फॉर दैट एक्शन बिकम्स इजी. reduce all the barrier which may come up, prime your environment for taking action. जो चीज आपको चाहिए वो सब पहले एक दिन पहले शुरू कर लीजिए. Then, as already explained by Limji, there are some other tricks like habit stacking. दो हैबिट के बीच में एक हैबिट को और डालिए. Because whenever we, because हैबिट का आदत है, हैबिट में जरूरी है उसका एक रिचुअल बने. Ritualization, if it starts, that is the kind of thing. If we start following a ritual to follow a habit, time will come. Automatically, we will start focusing on what we need to do. बिल्कुल सिंपल से अगर आप स्टैक कर रहे हैं, ऑलरेडी आपकी आदत बनी हुई है, किसी चीज को करने के लिए उसका एक रूटीन बना हुआ है, रिचुअल है. उस रिचुअल के बीच में एक और आप चीज डाल देंगे, वो रिचुअल ऑटोमेटिकली आगे फॉलो होगा. क्लियर? और अंत में हैबिट को पहले स्टैंडर्डाइज करें बिफोर उसको ऑप्टिमाइज करें. हम शुरू में ही कोशिश करने लगते हैं कि हम 10 किलो वजन कम करेंगे. नहीं, हम उसको पहले स्टैंडर्डाइज करें वो चीजों को जो कि हमारा वेट रिडक्शन के लिए जरूरी है. छोटे छोटे स्टेप करें. एज पर मिस्टर क्लियर, वी शुड स्टार्ट ओनली spending 2 minutes for that and keep it in with the incremental increase. अब जरा इसको एक प्रैक्टिकल एग्जांपल के साथ समझते हैं. लेट अस टेक एन एग्जांपल ऑफ बिल्डिंग अ रीडिंग हैबिट. हमें क्यों मिला ट्रिगर फॉर रीडिंग हैबिट? कहीं से कि इट विल गिव सम रिवॉर्ड एंड क्रेविंग हुआ, लेट अस पिक मी अ बुक एंड स्टार्ट रीडिंग. Response is you start reading. Now let us see at the response stage what we can do. Friction remove करने के लिए, will it not be a good idea to start with the book which is of my own interest? अगर मुझे माइथोलॉजी में इंटरेस्ट है तो मैं माइथोलॉजी की चीज लूं. अगर मुझे साइंस की चीज मैं साइंस को लूं. अगर मुझे फिक्शन में इंटरेस्ट है, लेट मी पिक अप अ बुक ऑफ फिक्शन. Isn't it? Then set a small and achievable goal. हम ये नहीं करें कि अब किताब लिया है तो आज ही इसको खत्म करेंगे. Let us start with a small. Say मैं सिर्फ आज 5 पेज पढ़ूंगा और I will spend just 10 minutes. Then इसको हैबिट स्टैकिंग करने के लिए let me decide that I will be reading every day before going, after going to bed and before sleeping. There is some 20 minutes time which I take. Out of that, 10 minutes I will use in reading. Then keep the book accessible. Just अपने bedside पर रख दिया. So that there is no. Keep all the distraction away. Whatever the distraction can be. Maybe TV noise. Maybe your light that may not be appropriate. All those distractions को खत्म कर दे. And keep this habit. Continue reading it for some time on sustainable basis, on daily basis, at a regular pace. Automatically it will become a habit. Friends, I'm not saying there will be no challenge. आप एक ही काम को करते करते बोर हो जाते हैं. आपको लगने लगता है क्या कर रहा हूं मैं. उसको बोर होने से बचने के लिए you need to review what you are doing every day and keep thinking of some small addition doing here and there. उससे उस पूरे प्रोसेस में कुछ ना कुछ नया चीज जुड़ता रहेगा and you will keep increasing that. Even then there can be some missed dates. आप कभी उसको छोड़ देंगे. Don't regret. अपने आप को माफ करो. आगे बढ़ो. Get back to your habit as soon as possible so that जो लॉस हुआ 1 या 2 दिन का वो कवर अप हो जाए. Focus, bring your focus back to what you had been doing. और छोटे छोटे माइलस्टोन को सेलिब्रेट करना शुरू कर दे. They are not there when that a small thing which you have started will become your habit and transform your entire life. Thank you, friends. Thank you for listening. So over to Indeep now.
Indeed, you are on hold, mute. Indeed, you are on mute.
Oh, thank you, Prashant, for handing over the baton to me. A very good morning to all the participants. Hope you are all liking the session so far. Yes or no? Put your answer in the chat box. Great. Now we come to the last and the most interesting part of today's session. Excited to know about it? Yes or no? Put your answer in the chat box. Great. So before I begin my session, I would like to know from you, we all like to be rewarded sometime or the other for the actions we take. Yes or no? Put your answer once again in the chat box. Thank you. Yes, we all love to be rewarded for the actions we take. My another question to you is, whatever we experience in life, we want our experiences to be a satisfying one. Yes or no? Put your answer again in the chat box. Thank you. Yes, all of us like our experiences to be a satisfying one. Do you know we can leverage this liking for reward and satisfaction to build good habits and break bad ones? No? Please allow me to tell you how. Since ages, our brains are wired to seek immediate pleasure and avoid pain. It's a human nature that habits that are satisfying are more likely to be repeated by us. Right? So, let me explain this to you with an example. In 1980s, Dharavi, which is Asia's largest slum located in Mumbai and which is most densely populated slum, faced the problem of severe illnesses, especially diarrhea and skin infections. The root cause was found that the people were not washing their hands regularly, leading to transmission of infection. It was not that the people were not aware of the need and importance of washing their hands, right? They did not like the idea of washing their hands often. They will either just wet their hands or they will wash only one hand at a time, which was clearly not enough. Since Dharavi is largely dwelled by poor people, they could not afford to buy luxury soaps to wash their hands, right? So, to bridge the gap, Unilever introduced an affordable luxury soap, which was known by name of Lifebuoy. We know Lifebuoy soap, everyone. This soap gave a very good lather, smelled very good, and gave a good feeling when rubbed against the hands. So initially, the soap was distributed free of cost by Unilever. The people liked the experience of using an affordable soap. It was a very satisfying for them, and the habit picked up. And in 5 years, the infection rates they came down by almost 61%, and sales of Unilever's Lifebuoy soap jumped up by almost 80%. Even during the COVID, there was a fear that there could be a severe outbreak of COVID cases due to the population density. But the fears were unfounded, as the power of satisfying repeated habit saved the day for them. Let me give you another example. Till 1880s, the chewing gum was not a very popular option. It was a very dull and a boring thing to do. Until spearmint changed the game by adding flavors to the gum and started promoting it as a healthy habit to chew gum. This made it a very satisfying people who were chewing gum, and the reward of building a healthy habit, that was what motivated people to adopt chewing gum, right? And the sales of spearmint again skyrocketed. Rocketed. My 19 years old son was recently prescribed with Sensodyne toothpaste by the doctor. And 2 days after the prescription, he switched back to his regular toothpaste because the experience of using the Sensodyne was not at all satisfying for him. So, in a nutshell, what I'm trying to say is that habits that are unsatisfying or habits where some kind of reward is not associated with it are less likely to stick to us. So, now the question arises, how do we leverage this feeling of satisfaction, unsatisfaction, and creating a reward system to build positive habits and break negative ones? One way, yes, is by making habits a satisfying one. There are several strategies that you can employ to make your habits more satisfying. You can pair a habit with an activity you already enjoy. For example, you can listen to an audiobook while exercising, or you can acknowledge and celebrate your progress, no matter how small it is. This will boost your motivation and make you feel good about your efforts. Or when engaging in a habit, you can focus on the positive aspects of the experience. For example, if you are meditating, notice how calm and centered you feel afterwards. Right? Any questions so far? If you have any questions, please feel free to put it in the chat box. Now, another way is that we use the power of positive reinforcement. When we engage in a habit and experience a positive outcome, our brain releases dopamine. Jagan, in his session, shared about dopamine, a neurotransmitter associated with reward and motivation. This dopamine hit reinforces the behavior, making us more likely to repeat it in the future. For example, while completing a workout can leave you feeling energized and accomplished, motivating you to continue your exercise routine. Or enjoying a delicious and a nutritious meal can reinforce healthy eating habits. Or mastering a new skill can boost your confidence and make you eager to learn more. Right? Now, the question arises, how do we address the unsatisfying or bad habits? Not all habits are created equal. Some habits are inherently unsatisfying. Yet, we need to continue to engage in them. This could be due to lack of immediate gratification or because the negative consequences aren't readily apparent to us. The only way to do this is to make your unsatisfying habits more satisfying ones. How do we do this? One way is to make a conscious effort to acknowledge the negative consequences of your bad habits. For example, if you are trying to break the habit of smoking, remind yourself of the consequences you may experience after a few years. Second way is to identify the triggers or cues or cravings that led you to unsatisfying habit. This can help you to avoid them or develop alternative coping mechanisms. The third way is to replace your bad habits with an unsatisfying alternative that fulfills a similar need. For example, if you snack out of boredom, try chewing sugar free gum instead. Got it? Any questions so far? Right. So, in this part, we learned about the power of satisfaction in shaping our habits. By understanding how our brains respond to rewards and punishments, we can leverage this knowledge to build positive habits and break negative ones. Remember, small changes over time can lead to significant results. So, focus on making your habits satisfying and watch yourself move closer to your goals. So please allow me to summarize today's presentation, what we have learned today. So we have tried to offer a powerful framework for understanding habit formation and creating a lasting change. This framework revolves around four key laws: cue, craving, response, and reward. By manipulating these elements, we can design habits that stick and transform our behavior. Let's quickly go through these laws once again. Law one is make it obvious, the cue part, shared by Timsey. The first step is to identify the cues that trigger your desired habit. These cues can be visual, like workout clothes laid out, temporal, exercising after work, or even emotional, feeling stressed, leading to meditation. By placing these cues strategically in your environment, you can increase the likelihood of initiating the habit. What was the second law? Make it attractive, a craving part. Once cued, we need to create a craving for the desired behavior, associating your habit with positive emotions like the satisfaction of completing a workout or social benefits of joining a running group makes it more appealing, isn't it? Right. So, what is the third law? We make it easy, the response part, shared by Prashant. So, friction is the enemy of habit formation. Reduce the number of steps between you and the desired actions. This could involve preparing your workout clothes the night before, using a habit stacking, example, brushing teeth after putting on your shoes, or minimizing the distractions. What is the fourth law we learned about? Was make it satisfying, the reward part. Our brain craves positive reinforcement. When a habit is completed, reward yourself with something you enjoy. This could be a post workout snack. I mean to say, only a healthy snack, a moment of self reflection, or simply checking a box on a habit tracker. The satisfaction fuels the desire to repeat the behavior in the future. Now, these laws can also be used to break bad habits. Simply invert them. Make the cues invisible, hide your phone to avoid social media, make the bad habits unattractive, visualize the negative consequences, increase the difficulty, remove candy from the house, and make it unsatisfying. Pair the bad habit with an unpleasant task. So, in our presentation today, we have tried to emphasize creating a system for habit formation, not just focusing on goals. By focusing on the process of building habits, you will be empowered to make sustainable changes and achieve your long term goals. Remember, small changes consistently applied leading to big results. Embrace the power of tiny habits and take control of your behavior. Thank you very much for your kind attention. The house is now open for questions.
First of all, it was a really great session by all four of you. Can we have a big round of applause for all of them? So now the platform is open. If anyone have any questions, they can ask.
No questions so far?
Everyone got expert in generating new habits. Anyone?
Anybody wants to share their experience if they have built any habit or if they're trying to do one, what is it that you would want to follow? What are your key takeaways?
I can share mine, like I will be adding new habits to the last one so that it can be make a cue, like the Timsy told me that adding new habits that we are already doing to it so that it will be easier for us to follow it. And like they also mentioned that having a reward that is more is a motivation to us to do that habit. So that will be also one more thing.
Great,
So I
fantastic.
think that's
It
for
becomes
the
very
today's.
easy. Yeah.
Mhm.
It becomes very easy when you stack tiny habits into the existing ones. You'll start following it, and over a period of time, you can keep adding more, and it will give you very good
Right.
results.
So I think that's all for today. We are on time.
We have
Thank you everyone
one
for
question.
joining.
We have a question in the chat box by Pratyush Tiwari. Sir, in the summary, what is craving? Would you like to answer this question, Indeep?
Yeah. So we need to create a craving for a desired behavior, and which is associated with your habit or with positive emotions, like satisfaction of completing a workout. So that is a craving for you, or a social benefit of joining a running group and make it more appealing. So that is a craving for us, right?
So I just want to add to what Indeep said related to craving. In case you're trying to break a habit, for example, we looked at that phone example, or when a pop-up comes on your screen, say Instagram pop-up, what is the craving? What is the motivation to look at it? So, Jagan in his presentation explained that you want to know the content, you want to create a public image for yourself. You want to be accepted in the society, and which is why, you want to socialize with your people. That's your motivation for to go to Instagram and check the messages and, respond to the messages. So that's the motivation. That's craving, something that motivates you to take an action.
When otherwise, sometimes, when we are browsing or when we are on the subject, when we go back and then want to make a call to somebody or something like that, some very interesting news will come. We forget about the first why we are browsing. We forget about it, then we deep down, because that is more craving than the actually what you want to do. So this is where the craving will take place, that dominates.
So anyone have any other question or any experiences to be shared?
Yeah, they can share their experiences related to this subject.
So let's come to the end of this session. Thank you so much everyone for joining. Have a wonderful weekend. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you,
you,
everyone.
everyone.
Thank you,
Thank
everyone,
you.
for
Bye,
Thank you,
listening
everyone,
in
for
the
participating. Thank you for your
informative
time.
session. Thank you. Have a lovely
Thanks.
weekend to everyone. Bye-bye. Take care. Stay safe.
Thanks,
Thank
Protect,
you.
for giving us this wonderful opportunity. And we need your feedback so that we are ready to improve ourselves. And we look forward for more and more such opportunities in the future also. Thank you, Kashish, for you have made all the difference. You have been constantly behind us, guiding us, and then motivating us. Really, really nice. Hats off to you. Thank you very
You're
much.
welcome.
Thank you.